Dear seekers, have a nice day. Today let us continue the same value regarding the goal of human life. What should be our goal of life? Everything we do has a purpose behind it. Whatever we do has a purpose behind it. And we complete our duties to attain that purpose. This means that in order to carry out any task, we set a purpose behind it. We set a purpose behind to our any task, any work. At the same time, whatever we do will lead us to attain some goal. It is better to ask ourselves that, do we have any goals in life? Or are we blindly going through the flow that comes along the way? Do we have any goals in life, or we simply following the flow of life? Have you ever thought about where that flow will end up? As the society moves, we are also moving. We grow, we learn, we educate, we get a job, we work, get salary, maintain ourselves, blindly follow the flock. Have you ever thought about where that flow will come up or end up? Is that goal beneficial to me or not? One of the Tamil siddhas called Tirumular says that if we are conscious of our inner self, then we attain the true path to live. If we are conscious of our inner self, then we attain the true path to live. To attain the goal of this human life, to attain the divine union of inseparable gift and live in gracefulness. Here, four things he says. If you are conscious of our inner self, that means if you are conscious of our goal of our life, then we attain the true path to live. We clarify our way of life. We clarify our daily existence, the path we live. Then to attain the goal of his human life. We know what should be the priority to be done to attain something more valuable in our life. Attain the divine union of inseparable gift. There, through our acts, we attain the divine union, which is an inseparable gift. That means it is already within us, we come to know of that and live in gracefulness. It is the joy of life. It is living in real knowledge, happiness and joy and peace. They attained the inseparable supreme path in the world. If we are conscious of our life, self, we attained. They attained the inseparable supreme path. It leads us not only of this world, but gradually makes us to attain the supreme path. They attain the supreme goal. They cannot change. They attain goal, that's all finished. In Hinduism they say, they attain the supreme goal of not being born again in this world. They attain perfect, that's all. They need not reborn. They go beyond all karma. In that, they attain the supreme benevolent, inseparable gift. They attain the supreme unspeakable grace in the world. They are conscious of the supreme benevolent, inseparable gift. They attain the supreme unspeakable grace. That is the innate reality within us. To attain this inner attitude, the first thing is that we have to live our life in such a way that no living being is hurt by us. That is the real path. We have to live in such a way, because of us, nobody should be suffering. Nobody should be hurt. We have to spend our time in the company of those who promote the attainment of the self. It is another way. We have to live in the company. We have to live in the society. We have to live in the situation, in the environment of those who promote the attainment of the self and the environment of spiritual persons. And the second is to break the bondage of corrupt and unnatural life. First of all, we have to cultivate the positive outlook, the positive company, the positive gathering. At the same time, we have to overcome, we have to avoid whatever is negative, personal, social and environmental. This human life is for attaining eternal liberation. That is our goal. This human life is for attaining eternal liberation, and it is for that purpose of becoming fully enlightened to acquire self-realization. This human life is for attaining eternal liberation, fully enlightened to acquire self-realization. First of all, I should feel free, overcoming or removing all that is negative. That is the liberation. I am conscious of my capacities. I live in a way that others may not be hurt, others may not be violated or made to suffer. That is the meaning of being liberated and becoming fully enlightened. I should be a fully enlightened person of my ways, of my thinking, my actions, my pondering, even my dreams also related with that. By itself, I acquire self-realization. I am conscious of myself. These are all the real goals of life. First of all, I should feel I am liberated. Secondly, I should have the inner light. Thirdly, being conscious of that self-realization. It is important that we have to love ourselves. We have to love our body. We love our capacities. We love our potentialities. It is accepting as they are. Buddha advised to love yourself. You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. First of all, I should know how to love our own faculties. As we love others, first of all, we should know how to love ourselves. Nobody deserves love from someone more than from yourself. It is not a selfish love. It is a love of myself, of my own capacities, my own talents. Thus, I make myself available that I may reach the goal of my life. Confidence is built from believing in and loving yourself. I built my own confidence by believing and loving my own potentialities, the divine reality which is within me. If we do not love ourselves, how do we expect another person to give us love? We always think others should love me. We are expecting so many things from others. But first of all, we should know how to respect, love my own self and do whatever is needed for my personal growth. Learn to love yourself before anything else. That is primary value to attain the goal of life. Love your body, love your faculties, love your energy, love your vibrations, love your situations of growth. First of all, we have to learn to love ourselves before anything else. But on the contrary, we come to know many things, but we do not know ourselves. We love many things, but we don't love ourselves. Here we have to understand really the meaning of life, how knowing, accepting, loving myself helps me to attain the goal of my life. Who is a self-realized person? Can you find anyone in the world? It is normal that we experience unhappiness after experiencing happiness. After experiencing a particular happiness for some time, again we are unhappy because of something else. Therefore, we are actually in search of permanent happiness. Permanent happiness. Often we feel I am happy, I am content, I am satisfied. But after a few hours, days, again we are unhappy. Actually, we are searching for permanent happiness. If we are in this permanent happiness, no unhappiness can touch us. Nothing may be unhappy for you. It is called as the state of liberation. See everything and be happy. A godly person, spiritual person is always happy. He lives in Satchidananda. He lives in true knowing. He lives in truth. He lives in joy and happiness. Nothing is unhappy. The liberation is to attain the awareness of being free. It is the awareness of being free. Even while we are living, the awareness of I am free should always be there. It is not a heavenly value to be reached after our death. No. Be happy now. It will help you be happy tomorrow and forever. Even while we are living in this world, the awareness of I am free should always be there. If we want liberation from all fruits of actions, that we must first become free from ignorance of the self. First of all, we should come out of the ignorance of the self to overcome the actions and the reactions of the daily events in our routine of life. Once the ignorance has left, we will find that things will be simple and uncomplicated. If once the ignorance has left, once we have overcome our own ignorance, we will find that things will be simpler and uncomplicated. Often we complicate our own needs and existence because of our ignorance. There will be peace. And day by day we will experience more and more bliss. So the bliss is always already within us. But it is our responsibility to activate it, to vibrate it by our concept of life. As long as we think we are ignorant of ourselves, then it is inactive. Once the ignorance of self is left, there we are liberated. We will find that things are very, very simple. Life will be simple and life will be uncomplicated. There will be peace, and day by day we will experience more and more bliss. That is a goal we should attain in our life. The goal is not at the end, after the death, no. The goal is a living goal, existing goal. The entire world wanders around in ignorance as a result of not knowing the path to liberation. The entire world is wandering around in ignorance as a result of not knowing the path to liberation, and as a consequence we get lost wherever we go. We get lost wherever we go. We are confused. We are in darkness. If you want to realize this liberation, ultimately we have to seek and find a self-realized person. That is very, very important. Some person should guide us in the path of self-realization. You should be a model for us to attain the same liberation in our life. That's all. You should be a model. He attained, okay, but we need not totally follow him. He is only a model. Then we go to search our own liberation. For example, when we want to go to the railway station, we have to ask someone who knows the way. But this path to liberation is narrow and complicated. But it is because it is not clear to us, since we are in ignorance, this path to liberation is narrow and complicated. If we attempt it on our own, we are bound to lose it, because we may not know the proper path, we may not know the proper means. But if you are able to find someone who could help you, therefore we are in need of a guide or a guru to recognize the path that leads to the full maturity of life or liberation. As we go for higher stages of learning, we always need a guide to lead us into a proper path. The same way, as we grow in our personal attainment of self-liberation, we need a guide, we need a guru or a master, so that he may clarify the ignorance and help us to find out our own ways to attain this maturity. Integral human development is the process of each man and the whole man today and in the near future. Integral development is the process, a progress of each and every human person. Development cannot be limited to mere economic growth alone. Often we think, I have a developed situation, I have such a big house, lot of financial facilities, economic growth. No. In order to be authentic, it must be complete, integral. That is, it has to promote the goal of every person and of the whole person. It must be complete and integral. The integral human development is, in order to be authentic, it must be complete, integral. That is, it has to promote the good of every person and of the whole person. It is not a partial growth, it is the well-balanced, integral growth. It means integrating the different people of the earth. The duty of solidarity requires us to seek fair ways of sharing so that there is no longer that inequality between the persons exists. Those who have too much and those who have nothing. It is not only economic or social. As a development, everybody is called to grow full. For that we have to think of. Only the path of integration between people can permit the humanity a future of peace and hope. Only the path of integral or integration between people can permit the humanity a future of peace and hope. We have to overcome all the limitations. Only the path of integration between people can permit the humanity a future of peace and hope. It means offering practical models of social integration. Everything has a contribution to make to the whole of society. Everyone has a special future that can be useful to enable us to live together, and no one is excluded from contributing something for the good of all. Everyone has something to contribute for the good of others, good of all. It means practical models of social integration. What is that? Everyone has a contribution to make to the whole of society. Everyone has a special future or capacity that can be useful to enable us to live together, and no one is excluded from contributing something for the good of all. That is the integrating myself and to make an integral growth. That is both right and a duty. And the principle of subsidiarity guarantees the need for the contribution of everyone, both as individuals and as groups, if you want to create a human society open to all. The principle of subsidiarity guarantees the need for the contribution of everyone, both as individuals and as groups. We want to create a human society open to all. This value is very, very important in our present time. How we have to make other person so that he may also able to contribute for the good, for the integral growth of the humanity. It also means the integration in development of all those elements of which it is truly constituted. It also means the integration development of all those elements of which it is truly constituted. The different systems, the economy, finance, labor, culture, family life, and religion are, each in their own way, essential components of its growth. Here, everything has something to contribute for the good of the society. We have to see in such a way that they are here to contribute something for the betterment, the integral growth of the humanity. None of them can be rendered absolute, and none of them can be excluded from a concept of integral human development, which takes into account that the human life is like an orchestra that sounds good if the different instruments are in accord and follow a score shared by all. None of them can be rendered absolute, and none of them can be excluded from a concept of the human development. That is without considered. No one is absolute. At the same time, we cannot exclude others that they are good for nothing. But everyone is needed, accountable for the growth and development of the integral humanity. In addition, it means integral individual community dimensions. That is very important thing. It is true that we are children of a culture which has exalted the individual to the point of turning it into an island, as if can be happy alone. In other hand, there are ideological views and political powers that have crushed the person, that have some capacity for the development of other people. We should not do that. They should not be deprived of their aims, of goals of life. That we have to make a global society so that God's power may realize in each and every person, and every person may grow as integral person. God has made himself through different avatars and self-realized person by many social political leaders. In them, God and man are not divided and separated. God becomes man to make of human life, both personal and social, a concrete path to perfection and liberation. That is very important. So, the manifestation of God in man, including his acts of healing, liberation, and reconciliation, that today we are called to offer in turn to the many injured who lie by the roadside. We have to see them. He shows the way and the form of service that humanity intends to offer to the world in this light. It is possible to understand what integral development means. A development that harms neither God nor man, since it takes on the need and consistency of both. In this sense, the very notion of person born and matured helps in the pursuit of a fully human development. Person means relationship, not individualistic. It affirms inclusion, not exclusion, unique and inviolable dignity rather than exploitation, freedom, not oppression. Integral human development is grounded in the principles of human life, which promotes the dignity of the human person, equality between every person, and common good of all persons. Thus, The integral human development highlights that human development cannot be separated into individual components, nor can it be focused solely on economic growth. Instead, our programs are designed to promote the development of the whole person in every dimension of life. We should be committed to serving people who are vulnerable to extreme poverty and marginalization. We work with people regardless of religion, political and cultural beliefs. Our development approach is to support whole communities rather than sponsored individuals. Therefore, we have to understand, we have to grow as a person with fulfillment of life. At the same time, it is not ended. We have to create an integral society. That should be the goal of a human life. I grow with due respect. At the same time, I help others. They may also attain the fullness of life. Thus, we find out the true goal of human life. O Supreme Graceful Light, justice, love and peace be in all beings. Be well, be well, be well.